Hello, hello, everybody. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Chat with Faeine and Sat. Thank you so much for joining us for 6 or 7 episodes now. Like, wow, this is exciting.
And we are getting better at it.
Better every time. Yes.
Yeah, we feel we are taking a little bit more liberty. Sometimes we end up going off topic, but at the same time, we enjoy being authentic and real. And rather than having a scripted conversation, it's always good when you can just have more like a fireside chat and casual, straight from the heart.
Absolutely.
We are enjoying that. That there is no pressure to be perfect here. It's more of a conversation that should happen on your sofa, sitting on your sofa with a friend. That's the type of conversation we want.
Yes, exactly. I feel like I should have a coffee, although it's day in the life of a realtor, because our lives, yours and mine, are so different, but yet we're both realtors. We both do the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's going to be a discussion for another.
Right. That's level of ADHD kicking in. We are already off topic here.
Yes, ADHD at its finest. Yeah, no, I was going to say is also, doing these talks a little more casually. I think what I love about it is that we're able to show our personalities a little bit more. Right.
Yeah.
When we're regurgitating information that some of the stuff out there is very important and, what's happening in the news, yada, yada. But so many people are doing that and the information is all readily available. However, I think that, if we're able to kind of, allow our personalities to come out a little bit more, people will get to know us. And I like what you said about it should just feel like we're talking with friends on a couch with some coffee and the dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Dogs
Exactly.
that are right.
And if you can mix samosas in there,
Yeah.
conversation spice up really good.
Oh, Sat, your samosas are incredible. They really are. They're very good.
Okay, trust. Let's talk about let's turn topic here.
What are we talking about today? What's our topic? Now, this is a really interesting topic that you've chosen, and introduce it.
Absolutely. So, folks, what we want to talk about today is one of the most crucial foundational principle of any business for that matter, but specifically for deals as big as real estate. Now, this is a topic when we're going to talk about it, you might say, oh yeah, that's obvious. But you'd be surprised how many times it does not get talked about. It gets shoved under the rug. And you hear about things like, oh, it'll happen over time. In my opinion, yeah, it could probably happen over time. But if you're a little bit more intentional and having an open, honest conversation about it, you could probably do it much earlier stages in the deal. And not only it will benefit your deal, but it'll actually improve your overall experience.
100%.
And it would be absolutely one of the greatest things for you as a client, as well as whoever you're working with, your professional. Are you ready for that topic now that
ready? Drum roll.
So this topic is called trust. Okay. I know when you're going to hear about it, oh yeah, trust, of course, that there has to be trust between me and my professional. You're probably going to say that under your breath. I know that already because this word gets thrown out there so often. You got to trust your professional.
Yeah.
But you want to know the real truth from an insider in the industry here?
Yeah.
Most people confuse likability and rapport with their professional with trust.
And see, you hit the nail on the head there. Like even, before this, when we were kind of, doing our pre-recording, there is a really big difference. And I never really put the thought into that, but there really is a big difference between likability and rapport versus trust.
Two very different things. So what happens is most people start with likability and rapport, and trust gets kind of shoved under the carpet a little bit. Buyers and sellers are excited about kind of getting that sale going, looking at the property, putting the deals together, getting the mortgage. Professionals sometimes are excited about sending you marketing ads. They're excited about that sale they're going to make. Both parties are busy with their own agenda, and the trust does not get built. That foundational piece does not get put inside the proper relationship like it should be with any relationship, but specifically this one.
Yeah.
Now, in the beginning, there is no difference in a transaction or a dealing, whether the trust is there or not. But you know where it becomes very obvious? When something gets stuck.
Yes, I was going to say when something gets stuck, or when we're in
sideways.
Yeah, or if we're in a market where, things aren't selling in multiple offers and, we actually have to, the process of listing your home or going through the process takes a lot longer than you anticipate. And so that's where, frustrations come up, emotions come up, and that's where that trust, if you don't have that, man, are you going to hate what you're doing? Like it's going to feel pain the whole
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
of, your transaction, whether that's buying, selling, both, whatever.
Absolutely.
It's going to suck.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as pleasant. And
Absolutely.
you're not going to get like it's just going to really have a different perspective on the entire experience.
What I have noticed in my dealing with lots of realtors, Faeine, one of
Mm.
the things I'm always so grateful for, that we made an intentional decision to go associate with people who are bigger, better, sharper in all sort of capacities than us. And I purposely spend about an hour or so every day in personal development and all that. And what I realized that almost in every industry, every professional out there who's worth their salt talks about this important elements of trust. And there are actually things done in industries to build trust between sort of like the client and a service provider.
Okay.
There are some things done very intentionally. And when you go to the higher, like in terms of investors in the real estate, I met multiple investors. Like as an example, one guy, will call him Bob. Bob was like at 170th property
Oh,
that
wow.
he's buying and selling over the last 5 years. You'd say guy does quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
Had a chance to afterwards, can I asked him if he'll give me 10 minutes, and had a chance to sit down and ask him, like, what is a couple of things you pay close attention to in the deal?
Right.
And what are the one or two things that you do in the beginning of a deal? Those kind of things. Got a chance to ask him. I was shocked by the answer he gave me. He was said, my first 2 or 3 interviews or first 2 or 3 conversations or interaction with my professional is simply to see if they're doing anything to build trust with me.
So that's very interesting. And this is like not just a realtor that he'd be interviewing, but this is any service provider that he's
Any service
interviewing.
provider. Yeah. He said, I like to see if they're doing anything to build trust with me. Then that's an indication that they are either not aware of that aspect,
Yeah.
or they don't care about that aspect.
So yeah, wow. So like what is an example of what he'd be looking for?
So exactly. So I asked him, I said, so how do you know if somebody's trying to build trust with you or not? And
Yeah.
here's the number one thing he said. He says, number one thing, authenticity, where they're not just telling me all the great things that they do, but they're willing to sort of like open a window for me, is the word he used. I want people who will remove a little bit of a curtain and let me see on their side. He said, I know anyone I'm going to meet with, I'm going to sit with, they're going to have shortcomings. He said, I know realtors and mortgage brokers come to me all the time and they're telling me all these polished up images and this many Google reviews and I'm great at this and look at my last sale. Every marketing is talking about that. He said, I know that's all great stuff, but where are your shortcomings?
It is incredible.
Yeah.
That's, it's so funny because that is like authenticity is something that is so important to me. Like, it's like I tell all my clients, like I end up becoming really good friends with most of my clients, right? Because we build that trust. We build I want to say rapport, but that goes hand in hand. But yeah, like we do. I become authentic. Like I want people to know the real me. Like obviously I'm in a position of, agent and fiduciary and all of that. But I also want them to feel like they have a friend and that they have like an actual person that is just like them, that is taking care of them. Do you know what I mean? And it has their best interest at heart. But yeah, no, if everything is polished and, like it just, like this face that's on the marketing and just doing like the salesy stuff, right? Like if you're only about the salesy stuff and don't take the time to know about your client and really kind of get to know them, and vice versa, there's a big veil there.
And here's another point that he made. He goes, it's important for me to see if they value trust and if they're doing something authentically to build that trust. I mean, there are other things he mentioned beside that. And I'm like, okay, so I get it. I understand it. But why is such an emphasis on it? He said that because most of the time I'm not thinking about this sale. He said every sale I do today is a stepping stone towards my next move or the move after or the move after. He says, sometimes I've thought like 4 moves ahead. Whatever transaction I'm doing today is a stepping stone or a foundational block towards that.
Yeah.
He said, I need to have a professional where I can open up all my cards to and trust that knowing all my cards, he's going to act in my best interest. He said, if he's focused on not building the trust, then I have a feeling that he's focused on this sale. Therefore, I can't truthfully tell him everything that he needs to know
Right.
which now will hurt me because he's not giving me information based on my fourth or fifth move that is leading to. He's giving me information about this move that I'm doing today.
Right. So he's
And not
not
only it
not
hurts today, it hurts my future. Now, I understand that an average client probably is not doing 4 or 5 moves like an investor, but hey, you might be thinking about your next move like 5 years down the road. Absolutely. Yeah, it's
right.
important. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah.
Why is that so important? Why is it important for a client to build trust with us?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's two different ways to look at it. Okay. So on one side, there's the personality side, right? We have to work close, like hand in hand with people. Let's face it, we're in communication with them, not just from a 9 to 5. Like I'm talking to my clients all the time. And if they're feeling like they're emotional or if they need somebody to talk to, I mean, yeah, I'm going to drop everything to help them, right? Because we're friends. We're all good friends now. So there's the personality wise, and we have to trust that they respect us as realtors and aren't going to be lying to us because let's face it, sometimes people do.
Yeah.
And then from there, and then there's also like the legal standpoint. Like if they're not telling us everything about their situation or their property or their finances or and I'm not saying they need to tell us, the life story, but if they're omitting certain things or we can't give them the best advice. And, if we're, because sometimes like the more you know your client, the more you listen to them and then certain keywords are going to come up in conversation, right? So for example, like we were just at the office meeting today and just first thing this morning, and we were talking about, things being GST applicable, right? And how that's becoming such it's such a huge topic right now because there's so many complaints about, whether or not GST is applicable in certain transactions. And so like, I don't know, he brought up an example, our office manager, he brought up an example of somebody who sold fish. Like he had a side business and sold fish. He, grew fish in his barn. And there was like, I don't know, maybe $5,000 worth of GST. And so, when you're talking with your clients, like, okay, they'll mention something such as, oh yeah, I used to grow fish and had a side business. And oh, well, that would key trigger my mind to be like, oh, well, okay, let's talk about that a little bit more because I want to make sure you are informed about the potential GST implications because that's something that can happen.
Yeah.
So my point of that whole ramble is yeah, I mean, the more the client can be honest with us and give us as much information as they can about a certain situation, the more we'll be able to see the bigger picture and help them and give them the best service and be able to guide them in the right way based on the information that we have about their situation and their goals.
Absolutely. And also because we so believe in becoming kind of being authentic and open, if I can share this too, as a professional, our time is valuable. I understand, like let's talk about just us and let's not put it on the industry because I don't want to speak about anyone else out there, but let's just talk about us.
Yeah.
I understand there might be realtors, mortgage brokers who are not as in demand kind of deal. They do one deal every other month. They have all kind of time on hand. If some get wasted, it really doesn't matter. But people who are kind of movers and shakers and want to make some things happen in the industry, they're always in demand because everybody wants them.
Yeah.
So what happens is when this is the type of conversation I have with my clients, kind of sitting down across the table from them. So what happens is when clients kind of either hold back information or they really are unsure about something, but they don't want to say it, or they think it's too personal to them, and they don't communicate that. So what I've seen happening is sometimes we'll do the entire deal, and this one thing that they didn't want to either say or provide end up being sort of like the nail in the coffin of that deal.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. We just had a client that I've been working with for over 2 years or so, developing a relationship and all that. Ended up doing a deal, bought a property. We got a really good deal on a property. Everything else in that area was sold for like 1.1.5 to 1.2.
Okay.
And we went in like really strong. We secured a deal at like 970 some thousand.
Okay.
Basically $250,000 cheaper than anything else.
Yeah.
In that area. That's about $250,000 of an advantage buying that property. Okay.
That's amazing.
So that client was going to go get the money through sources like their parents and all that for down payment. We were going to do a reverse mortgage. I talked to the client. We had this conversation with them. But
Yeah.
now the parents are getting involved. I did not have this conversation with the parents, which is sort of like a bit of my fault as a professional. I should have been a bit more proactive on it. But I asked the client for the title of the property because we do both sides. We do real estate and mortgages. I'm like, hey, my mortgage office would need the title of the property you want to do reverse mortgage from, blah, 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 so they can kind of verify it. We don't want to provide it yet. We don't have to provide it until our mortgage is approved. Fair enough. They have the right to say that. And I asked them, well, what is title? Like, are there any liens? Are there anything that we should be worried about? No, nothing. You shouldn't be worried about anything yet.
The title search of the property that they
they didn't want to. They were
to.
putting the reverse mortgage on. Like parents were getting the money out of their property, which was free and clear.
Right.
They want to issue. They don't want to kind of allow me to print out a title, right? Because I need to have their permission to do that. They want to provide me a copy. Didn't do that. Okay, so we did the entire deal. We secured this amazing deal for the daughter.
Yeah.
Got her mortgage approved.
Yeah.
And came time to get the down payment. And turns out banks asked for title. So title goes to the bank and they say, well, wait a minute, this title is written very differently.
Oh boy, what was on there? Was there something?
It was sort of like instead of joint tenancy, it was tenancy in common. And they had written something about a POA in there, like somebody who could sign for you. I forgot the professional name for it, but yeah, POA. Remember
and that was
all the title search, right? So that became a huge issue with the bank. And I remember going back to the parent. I said, well, guys, we talked about this. Like they say, oh, it was necessary enough for every professional to see our title. Fair enough. That means the trust was missing, where they didn't trust us enough to give us that document.
Yeah.
And that cost our daughter an amazing sale that she has made.
Yeah.
With the property. She lost basically $250,000 equity in a property that day.
Wow.
Because that sale didn't go through. She couldn't come up with a down payment. Now, had we known that day one, we probably would have had strategized differently, done different things.
Of course.
Not proposed to the bank differently. Again, these are just examples. Now
that's a great example though. Like,
so like it's not always your professional hurting because of lack of trust. It's eventually the client who hurt the most.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I hurt for them. My client kind of didn't get to win, but at the end of the day, hey, they didn't provide certain information, right? I take full responsibility that I probably should have had that trust conversation with parents up front, but it didn't.
Hindsight.
It got swept under the carpet, and then that hurted that sale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, just to Faine's point that as professional, now over time, the reason I did the whole ramble that to kind of share, okay, well, as professional, over time is valuable. If I cannot trust my client, do you think I would want to invest 20, 30, 40 hours putting that deal together, getting mortgages approved, going through this whole, only to find that client was not disclosing something which hurted all that 40 hours of work? When I could be out there serving other clients, earning a paycheck for my family, like how confident your professional can be, the true professional can be, in helping you with full-fledged if they don't have the trust in you.
Absolutely, totally.
Both ways that way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, and I look at it's funny because I mean, I've been licensed 15 years now. In my first 5 years, I wasted so much time and energy with people that had zero plan on buying at all whatsoever. They just wanted to hang out. They were just lonely, or they just wanted rides because that's, back then when I had people in my car, right? Or they were just bored, or they were, there were people that just really, they had no intention of actually buying, but they just, just we're tire kickers. And if it's somebody who I have a long-term relationship with, I don't mind taking them out to go and see a property, even if I know they're not going to buy it. No, of course not, because they're good, they're clients and I trust them, that, when the time comes, they'll call me, right? But yeah, no, I wasted a lot. I learned the hard way with a lot of things, especially in my first 5 years. Yeah, before I grew my clientele and my database.
Hard way of doing business.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just say the interesting personalities. Like I attracted the interesting personalities in my first couple of years, but that's a whole other conversation. We should do a video on that too.
But Finn, so here's usually when I'm having a conversation with a client. I generally like to sit up front, like at the very beginning stages of business. Have we talked about this? One of the common stuff that comes up, because at that point they haven't decided to hire us, they're just gonna be just sitting down and having a chat, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Then one of the common questions comes up, but how would I know if somebody's trying to build trust with me or not? And I often remember saying that, well, there are certain things you will notice, but trust is something that is felt than seen.
Very good
Right.
point.
There is no three things a realtor can do to build trust with you, or three things a client can do, right? Of course, you got to be authentic and all that type of stuff. We can talk about the basics.
Yeah.
There is no tick boxes, because if there was, that'd be really easy. Let's tick those three boxes and now we have this trust built.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. Right.
Right? It does not work that way.
Sign a
Trust is more,
contract. Okay, now we trust you.
yeah, yeah. Here are the three things you asked me, but it's more felt,
Yeah.
and usual signs that I've noticed, at least people that I'm trying to build trust with, is they're willing to have hard conversations.
Right.
One of the toughest conversation that I've had with clients is the trust conversation.
Really?
It's one of the very hard conversations to have, because you don't know them that well. You don't
Yeah.
want to come across preachy.
Yes.
You don't know where you don't want to lose their interest in you, kind of coming across as this guru of kind of this whole relationship type of aspect of the business. So the realtor, you go through kind of emotions off, right?
Yeah.
But if one of the things, if I'm going to choose to work with somebody, if I'm going to invest my time in them, I gotta have this conversation with them up front. But this is usually one of a professional who's trying to build trust with you. They're willing to have difficult conversations up front.
Right.
Upfront. If you're thinking something like on a terms of like, I would want to buy a house in this area under 600,000, my dream home.
Right.
And of course, we all see these deals. Yeah, we can help you see these advertisements from realtors. We can help you find your dream home. No, right? You see it all the time in the advertisement.
Yep.
But somebody who's trying to build trust with you probably would kind of loving way kind of say, okay, well, you're probably not going to find anything under 500,000 in that area.
Being realistic and being receptive to reality as well. Yeah, I know.
Exactly, right? They're not afraid to kind of have sort of like with love in their heart, like nice way, not in a
of course.
way, like Faine's way of doing things, right? Everything with love. But they're not afraid to have those hard conversations with you. I think that's one of, and again, it kind of connects back a little to authenticity, but they're willing to have that conversation with you because they have your best interest in their heart, right?
Yeah.
And second thing is they're willing to share things that they want me so well. They're not saying I'm amazing at everything. Let's face it, nobody is.
Nobody's perfect at everything. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah. I know for myself, I tell clients all the time, maybe Faine, you can shine more light on this, but of all the things I do, we make these mega $1 million deals with clients. We've been very successful, done great things in business, good following of clients. But out of all of that, I'm personally only good at three things. I'm good at buying real estate, and I'm good at advising client about how mortgage should be set up.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
Everything beyond that is not my forte.
Okay. Yeah.
But thankfully, I have a network of people who are really awesome at it and excel at it way better than I do.
Yeah.
And I can get them to do my client's work. I just want to make sure that my client get the best. And if they're not going to get the best of paperwork from me, and they have somebody who can be really great at paperwork,
right,
that client doesn't lose about it. So I think it's really, really important for a professional to know what they will do great and what they will not do great.
Yeah.
So there is proper expectation on client's behalf. I think those couple of points that come to my mind, but maybe you can shine on more.
What am I not good at? Okay, let me think here. Let's see here. I mean, yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think but I was going to say like being consistent, like with, being consistent on my day-to-day activities, but I don't think a client would really recognize that. You know what I mean? I guess maybe
because you have done the great thing too to build that team around you. Right. That's really important to kind of that covers you well.
Yeah. Like, okay. So yeah, actually, you know what? Like, paperwork. I am not, no, like when I was an assistant, I was great at the paperwork. That was like my thing. I loved it. And now when I'm, now being a mom and, being out in the field, no, I need to hire somebody for that. My social media and, all of that kind of stuff, like the graphics and, the visuals. If I have a lot of time, then that's great. But for the most part, no, I don't have time for that. And it's not my forte because at the end of the day, I have zero desire to go and sit and do paperwork. Right. So, so I know but this is like you said, this is an example of, this is why I have an assistant who's a transaction coordinator. She handles listings and processes listings and transactions. And then I also have another assistant who does the graphics and my social media and that side of things. So, I definitely, I've built, my little mini empire of, okay, everybody kind of has their particular job. Everybody knows what they need to do, and it works well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's another great example there. Like if you're looking to hire Faeine or Sat, don't expect us to be perfect at paperwork. We won't be filling your paperwork. There are
Well,
people who do it far better than we do. Maybe a form or two we could, and we'll verify everything. We'll read through everything.
yeah.
But if you ask me to do the paperwork, like for you, probably not the best.
Yeah. But okay, so on that note, okay, we're totally getting off topic, but my contracts and like as far as like paying attention to detail when it comes to contracts, very, very on top of it. But it's the process of opening my computer, doing, like it's so the monotonous stuff.
Absolutely.
It's not exciting. An offer or like a counter offer or contracts are exciting because those are like important things. But like the day-to-day stuff that's just clerical, no.
Yeah, I agree, and that's exactly where I was going there. Whenever I'm sure you have certain process in your side as well. But my side is when my people do the paperwork, everything has to come to my email before it goes to client.
Right.
Even if it's a disclosure, right? It can't go straight to client. It has to come to me. I have to review it, sign it off, then it goes to client.
Got it.
But for same reason, because we're great at we want to make sure you get the best of the best of the best that's available.
Yep.
In that particular scenario, right? So anyhow, we can kind of talk on that. I usually talk about people say
another topic of conversation.
Yeah, sometimes
for another video.
Yeah, sometimes people ask me, Sad, what are you not good at? And my answer back to them is how many days you got, right? Because let's face it, our successes and our amazing things that we do are probably like one page of paper.
Yeah.
And what we are not good at is probably entire book.
Interesting, right? Very interesting.
So,
yeah.
So
yeah, there's that authenticity of like, recognizing that, you can't be a jack of all trades and be great at everything, and somebody who has taken the time to, really self-reflect and taken measures to, recognize where do they need help. I mean, that's, that's a lot of authenticity and a lot of, self-development right there.
Yeah. And I think it actually serves client a lot more because end of the day, clients are hiring us to buy and sell real estate or help them with their mortgages.
Yeah.
They're not hiring us to do their paperwork.
Totally.
Right. Our true value is that. So I'd rather invest my time, my energy, my learning, my coach, everything that I do to self-improve in those three areas. So buying real estate, selling real estate, mortgages, anything beyond that is done by others.
Yeah. 100%.
But anyhow, another conversation to have another time on that.
Yeah, for sure. No, so you know what? I think this is, it's a really, talking about trust and authenticity and building trust and the importance of that. I think, we touched on some really interesting concepts and interesting points about it. And I totally agree that it's not talked about enough. So yeah, this was a really cool conversation to have.
Awesome. Well, thanks for everything, Faeine. Appreciate you.
Thank you. So, okay, everyone. Well, thanks again for sitting through another real estate chat with Faeine and Sat show. And we look forward to chatting with you next week at the next episode.
We're excited for the next episode. It's going to be a real cool one.
It's going to be great. Everyone gets better and better, doesn't it?